What's popping? What's popping? Let's get these comments on stage. What's good? You're Hey, I appreciate that. Thank you. I got a new song on every single live stream thus far. I don't know when I'll run out of songs, but I'm gonna keep giving y'all new ones. What's up? What's up? I'm gonna keep. Oh, I'm sorry for cutting y'all off. I just have a certain time limit on the countdown. I'm glad you liked the song enough for me to for that to upset you. Yo, what's good? What's good? Junior Def. What's up? I'm trying to do like a more of a welcome section in the streams moving forward, because I just kind of get to the point and I realize that a lot of people don't even aren't even in the stream yet. So I'm trying to give y'all more of a cushion, play to more of the fact that this is a live stream and like interact, right? Um, what's good? What's good? Lolu 712. Love by LA, love from LA by way of ATL. Bet. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Yeah. Yeah. You caught the live. Let's get it. Let's get it. Mystique Mew. Feel like you missed 2 albums already. You've missed like 4 songs. We're still working out the kinks with how to perfect this live streaming stuff, and we're getting pretty good at it. And shout out to Taiwan, who's been helping me out on the production side of things. He's in the chat, occasionally harassing y'all. Oh, what was Demond Hicks said? Been watching your videos. Thank you. Anytime one of y'all says you watch my stuff, trust me, it keeps me going because this is hard work sometimes. Congrats on being able to do this full time. Thank you. Appreciate that too. So as y'all saw the headline, right? Y'all saw what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about what's going on with Usher and LaRussell. That is the other person on the cover. If you did not recognize him, I'll talk about who both of them are. I don't need to introduce you to Usher. Anyway, so the hook here, right, is that obviously a lot of people have talked about both LaRussell situation and Usher situation already. I'm not breaking new ground in certain ways, but there are things I have to add that I think benefits from how much time I spent sitting on this. I don't do breaking news. When things happen, I'm like I gotta make a live video and tell everybody what I think. Like I don't, most of the time I don't care, especially when it comes to celebrities, pop culture. I could not care less. I promise y'all. But when there's like a bigger point to make about society, about politics, about the way people interact with each other and destructive forces, scam forces in society that have negative outcomes, or scammy, sketchy forces, that's when I feel like I want to say something. My opinion is not necessary, but I'm glad all of y'all are here to take it in. So I'll take very brief moments to describe my meetings of both of them in passing. It's not like those stories are a big deal. I just met them in passing, literally. But it's a connection to my perception of them and how that perception has changed based on what they're both in controversy for right now. So we'll start with, why not start with Usher? That's the big one. It's the big ticket. That's what, the biggest artist in this conversation. And I'll throw up the picture. Let me start with this one. That's young Usher. This picture will come back. I just figured this was the funniest one to start with. So this was 1994, by the way. I was 4 years old. So when I met Usher, I've met Usher 2 times. He spoke at my freshman year orientation at Georgia Tech. And back then, he was with his original wife, the black one. I don't know if y'all remember that one. She was nice. I met him and his wife in our dining hall at Georgia Tech in passing. And most recently, I met him like a month ago when I interviewed Gavin Newsom. And so I'll throw up pictures of both of those instances. This was when I interviewed Gavin Newsom. I was in the back with all the security guards and whatnot. And out of nowhere, Usher and his wife just walk in the back door. And so all these other creators are at this event and they're all hanging out in the front and they don't know Usher's here. So at this point, I'm the only one who knows because he just walked in the door straight in front of me and so did his wife. I greeted him real quick. I greeted his wife and, you know, Usher's a superstar. So he meets people all the time. There's no way, of course, he's going to remember me. He doesn't remember me now. There's no way. It's not possible for him to remember me now. But all I said was, hey, I'm a big fan. I appreciate your music. It's nice to meet you. My name's Cam James. And I introduced myself to his wife as well. And I just waited for him to surprise everybody else. And I'll show y'all that pic as well, because there's a few from that event. And what's funny is, you know, how things change, right? Because there was I'm a huge Usher fan. Like I've been a Usher fan for my entire life as far as like my appreciation of music, because he's been a music star for my entire life. He's been famous ever since I've been alive, right? And that's something that is hard to really grapple with when someone says something or does something that is just unequivocally bad. You know what I'm saying? Like when they say something that kind of betrays that they're really out of touch, or that they really don't get what's happening in the moment, right? That's yours truly in the back left, and that's Gavin Newsom with Usher. And these are all the other creators that were at the event with me. I was interviewing Gavin Newsom in that back room to the left, right? And I was the only person in Atlanta during that stop that actually got to interview Gavin Newsom. So that's a whole different story. That's on my politics channel. If y'all didn't know that exists, y'all can watch it. But when I interviewed Gavin, for those who are new here, I criticized him in that video. So a lot of y'all are like, oh, I hate Gavin Newsom. Look, I understand, and I have plenty of smoke for him as well. And I delivered a lot of really fair criticism of him in that video. So go watch that. If you haven't seen it yet, I'm dropping the link to my politics channel in the chat. Hopefully that link works. I typed it in wrong. I think we both maybe those both work. I don't know. The YouTube links are hard to remember how to type in. Yeah, there's a lot of issues with Gavin. So I listed those in that video. Go watch that if you have the time. It's very underseen because everybody dislikes that man. But anyway, I was at this event hosted by like Live Nation Urban and a couple of other entities that brought us all together and gave me the chance to interview him, but also just Usher randomly showed up because Gavin was in town. So that's the brief story on how I, and shout out to Diara for this question. I actually will be talking to labor organizers. I'm trying to put that together. But every now and then I need to talk to somebody that pulls in audiences, but also to challenge them, right? Like somebody needs to list the things that Gavin Newsom does that aren't the most popular or the best, if he's going to be, the front runner. But anyway, moving on. Definitely, I met Usher. We need to progress to telling this story. And like I said, when I met him, it was just like okay, I don't make a big deal about celebrities. Both of them are famous. I had a job to do. It is what it is. They come and they go, and then I move on, and I got to do what I got to do. But the main controversy, in case you haven't heard, is that Usher defended Diddy in an interview with Forbes. And I'm going to show y'all clips from that interview that I've picked out and talk about the combination of the things I've researched and the implications of the things Usher's saying, because it goes beyond that one quote, right? I watched the entire interview. A lot of people, if you actually go to the interview on Forbes' page, it doesn't even have that many views. Like in this landscape, people clip one clip out of an interview and they shoot it around the internet, and the original interview doesn't even get viewed that much. Like, and that's insane. You would think that curiosity would naturally draw people back to the original interview to watch it. But I watched all 48 minutes of it and took notes. And I'm not saying we're going to go through all of that right now, but we're going to go through pieces of it and talk about like the implications of some of the things he said. So let's drop this music down, and I'm gonna throw up Usher.
What's it like being Usher in 2000?
That is further into the video I want to start. We'll start at the beginning. Let's get
I
it.
guess at this juncture of my life, I'm thinking legacy. I'm thinking about the things and the investments that I can make that will mature in 25 years from now. It is the notion that to whom much is given, more is given. So, in the same light of, the career that I have been able to build, if the investment that I made in it is any indication of what could potentially happen as a result of us investing in youth, 14 and older, look at what it could become. But they got to have the resources. They have to have the opportunity. They have to have a new look from the environments that they are already in.
Okay, so context, right? In this interview with Forbes, was first off, let's start off talking about Forbes, right? Forbes Forbes and this show, which was called, let me pull up the name of the show, The Enterprise Zone. So that's the show that he was sitting down with Forbes. This show exists to glaze capitalism. Like it's stocks, it's investments, it's rich people, it's how did you get rich, how are you staying rich, and also giving them a platform to essentially pat themselves on the back for philanthropy as a rich person. That's what's happening in this interview. He made a $1 million donation or investment in the Boys and Girls Club in Detroit. And he's piggybacking actually off of an investment that Big Sean made that was also in Detroit. That's where he's from, with the Boys and Girls Clubs as well. So Usher put up $1 million and he's sitting down at the Boys and Girls Club. I believe that's the location that they're talking at, to discuss the legacy of it, discuss what it means and how he sees it. And he mentioned that he sees it as like a seed, right? To push other people with resources to join in. And look, I'm not knocking the investment itself. I want that to be clear. I think, beneficial philanthropy can come from a lot of sources. It can come from those who are clearly, rich and have the resources and all that good stuff, but it can also come from people at the organizer level, at the grassroots level. And as long as the money is used correctly and not misappropriated, it's a good thing that money's being put up at all. To my knowledge, the Boys and Girls Clubs do great work. So that's what the meat of this interview was about. But that first comment, what I want to draw attention to is that he brought up legacy. This is the first time he brought it up, and it's very early in the interview. It's like 10 minutes in. And what he's been quoted of saying about Diddy is legacy. We're going to get to that quote later, but this is the first time he mentioned it, and he's talking about his donations. He's talking about his investments in the community, and the connection between these two things is kind of helping us put ourselves in Usher's frame of mind, right? He's on the tail end of his career. He's focused on the impact he can leave behind him, mentoring people. He talks a lot in this interview about mentorship and what he's trying to do through that. And so this helps give us context when he says legacy later and what he means by it. It shows you what matters to him, right? So keep that in mind, what matters to Usher as we continue to go through these quotes.
What's it like being Usher in 2026?
I mean, it all depends on which portion you're talking. I mean,
The one that everybody knows and adores.
there's some pressure that comes with it, and there's some expectation that comes with this space that I'm in, because I'm not chasing anything anymore. I'm now engineering. I'm now at a place where I'm looking for more of what I am. I'm looking to inspire the young people who thought like I did when I was 9, 10, 11, 12.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm looking outward. I'm not looking in. I know who I am. I know what I am. I know what I offer. I know what I'm capable of doing.
So that adds more context to my point, right, about what frame of mind he's in this part of his life. I can't relate to being where he is in his career or his age. He's 11 years older than me. And like I said, he's been famous like my whole life, damn near. So it's hard. I think it's hard for anybody watching this to put themselves in that frame of reference. So almost nobody can relate as far as career milestones go. But this is where he's coming from with the investment, but also with his comments later. Whereas I think when he says he's not looking inward, I think that reflects, unfortunately, a lack of situational awareness that's going to show its head later. And it's going to show a lack of introspection that's also going to show its head later. Because I don't think someone who's looking internally to the extent that you should would say what he's going to say later about someone like Diddy.
When you think about your career, and you had to sum it up in one word.
Ordained.
Ordained. Why ordained?
It was meant to happen. It was called by a higher source. I think if we're obedient to the thing that is sometimes the quietest part of us, the most humble part of us, there's something brilliant and genius in that. It's just trusting it. When something ain't right, you'll hear it. But sometimes we'll just ignore it, like, no, maybe it's just my fears. If it's not right, you gotta listen to it.
So the reason I pulled up that clip was ordained, right? Like y'all caught that. And obviously that's a religious reference. It implies, even though Usher does not mention God once in this interview, but the word ordained is a religious term. It implies that he's a religious person. And that's also going to play into his state of mind in his comments later. I don't think you can say the things he said about Diddy and not be influenced by Christianity. There's a heavy undertone of having to, like literally having to forgive some of the most monstrous people we've encountered in our society that's backed by religion. Christians preach that you're able to be forgiven for your sins if you accept Christ as your Lord and Savior. I don't want to get too heavy bogged down into the religion side of things, but when that's your core belief, I do believe you're a Christian. I did that research. When that's part of your foundational beliefs, it tends to lend itself to being able to overlook some of the worst things committed by other people, right? So that's why I included that. We need to know where his mind's at.
Sean Combs.
Sean Combs. Legacy.
I asked that because when I was researching you, I found this interview from 2015, I believe, or maybe even further, where it was in Philly. It was during your tour, and I'm listening to it. And it said, all of the things that were going on in New York at that time. I quote, "I knew better. Maybe it was those valuable lessons in integrity in Tennessee, and furthermore, I knew what the hell I wanted. I didn't want to go to New York for the experience. I wanted a career, right? I could have gotten to a lot of stuff, but I chose a different road. I had a plan. I had a focus, right? I wanted to get it done, and you avoided a lot of the negativity that we obviously know shows up in his story today. Young kids, how do you talk to them about avoiding that negative like you did because you had your path?"
I mean, this might be a bit controversial, but in the same way, I think many people choose to look past the reality of what our country is, the standards that we now stand on. We can't ignore the reality of the history, but in many ways, I think certain people are prosecuted and maybe not recognized for the greatness, that they offer.
All right, yeah, we're gonna stop there. Full screen me. This shit is ridiculous. Like, it's already ridiculous. This is bad. So I took notes on this. Let me organize my thoughts. So let me give y'all the context leading up to these comments, right? Context matters. It always matters. No matter what clip you're seeing float around the internet, all of it matters. If there's anything y'all take away from this, stop watching clips on the internet and then typing out your comments. Like, stop it. Even if you're right, get the context first and maybe revisit it with a more complete idea of where they're coming from, where they are, and then talk about it. I think the world would be a much better place if we all got context. That being said, this is some fuck shit, and I'm going to go into why it's some fuck shit. So after playing some word association with regard to his career, the interviewer continued to ask, drop one word to associate with that person. So he mentioned his mom. He mentioned like L.A. Reid. He mentioned other influential people, Jermaine Dupri, people who are like close to him, figures that helped form his career, helped get him where he is, right? And so he dropped, brother for Jermaine Dupri. He dropped brother for like this other guy, I forgot his name, that helped with his foundation work. And so it was name. I'll give the interviewer props for this. I'm about to take away some props later, but I'll give the interviewer props for this. I think that was a very clever way to work in Sean Combs and not have it be like a bomb that's dropped. That was clever. That was some tricky shit. Very, very well done. But that's what led to Sean Combs. It didn't start there. Sean Combs wasn't even the last name, or was he the last name? I think because the answer was so long for Sean Combs, that was the last name. So drop Sean Combs. Now we're at the start of the comment. Now, with very little hesitation, Usher says legacy. Already problematic. That's already hiding a lot of things that should maybe go first. And the first statement he puts out there is that people are prosecuted. Already we're generalizing. We're talking about Sean Combs. Who the hell else we're talking about? Like, people are not prosecuted. Usually criminals are prosecuted. And I think generalizing Diddy, along with this nebulous group of people, is already disassociating the man from his crimes, and it's deeply irresponsible, because you're already talking in like conspiracy theory talk. Like, I think they take down our black heroes. You're already in that space when you start getting third person with it. We're not talking about people. We're talking about Diddy. So that's problem number one. And not recognized for the greatness they offer is how he ended that segment. I think, contrary to that statement, I think Diddy has been very celebrated in our culture for the things he's contributed to hip hop before all this went down, and while this was all going down behind the scenes, because this has been going on for a long time. As I'm going to get into later, it's been going on for a very long time. But even when everybody didn't know about it, he was being celebrated. He was still winning awards. He was still bringing up other artists and putting them on and all this stuff, well, pretending to put them on. All of that was happening. So he's been celebrated enough. Now is not the time for this shit. So I'm gonna get back to his comments, and then we're gonna jump back in. Why is Usher worth this much energy? That's a good question. I'm gonna get to these questions after, but I gotta continue.
I don't have anything negative to say about Sean Combs, because my experience was not what the world has seen, and how he's been, misrepresented. I'm not saying that every man is perfect. I'm not saying that all of us don't have flaws, but I can't, with any sense of humanity, not recognize the valuable contributions that this man made.
Nah, dog. This ain't it. This ain't it. So my experience was not what the world has seen. This is worse. This is worse, because I think this is the time where we dive into what Usher has said, and the first knock I have to give to this interviewer, because look, I've been in interviewing situations with people that are prominent, they have a lot of clout, they're famous, whatever, and granted, I don't always ask the hard questions, but if you're going to touch that topic, or I haven't always asked them in the past, but when you touch that topic, you can't do it and not do it. Like, if you're going to bring up Sean Combs, you can't dance around it and allow Usher to just blast all these cherry blossoms out. Like, you can't do that, bro. You have to bring some actual facts to the table. And when the interviewer mentioned that he did some research onto a 2015 interview, he shouldn't have said that, because I also did some research, and so did a lot of people who watched this back. And one thing that they discovered was that Usher stayed with Diddy when he was a teenager, when he was like 15. L.A. Reid sent Usher to stay with Diddy for months. Like, thank you, Emery, for months. If not a little bit longer than months. But it's like a camp. It was called like let me get the details right. I'm gonna share the article that I found because this make sure the people can see that for me. Taiwan. I'm sharing this tab now. So if y'all can see that, let me see. Yeah. So if y'all can see that, Usher admitted he would never let his children stay with Diddy. This was on Howard Stern in what year was that? 20 something. 2020. When was that? When was the interview? I want to make sure I get the year right. It's not super important. The year that the interview happened is not super important, but this article was published in 2024. And it was called the Puffy Flavor Camp. So start there. L.A. Reid sent Usher to a Puffy Flavor Camp because he couldn't figure out like what single to drop for Usher after his first release, right? And he says he was 14 at the time. So a prepubescent boy or a pubescent boy being sent to live with Diddy and go to a Puffy Flavor Camp. I don't know how much L.A. Reid knew at the time, granted, but it was already happening, as you're going to see soon. So it was 2016 when Usher met with Howard Stern. So that was the year. And his first quote about it was that it was pretty wild. It was crazy. There were curious things taking place, curious. And I didn't necessarily understand it. He's going to get into more details later. But remember, he said he wouldn't let his sons stay with him. So like when he was asked if he would ever send his children to Puffy Flavor Camp, he said, hell no. And I'm going to show you the reason why he said hell no. Those are his two kids. One of them looks a lot more like him than the other. Two of his multiple kids. That's the picture I showed y'all earlier. It's about the age in 1994 where he was like living with Diddy. Whew. Nasty stuff. So he was signed to LaFace, as a lot of people know. That's how L.A. Reid comes into the picture in 1993 and released a single, Call Me a Mac. And so he sent him to P. Diddy because he wanted him to be more edgy, right? He asked him to give him some of his flavor. And all this sounds bad in retrospect, but like I'm sure L.A. Reid was just like, look, this guy's a successful musician, and you know, hopefully he can teach the kid how to be like a edgy R&B singer. So like, L.A. Reid is a terrible person in a lot of other ways in the music business, but I'm not putting allegations on him. But they cover his crimes. In case y'all forgot, 120 victims have come forward against Diddy already. And that's why all these documentaries have been produced and why we're here today, why this is such a big deal. I saw somebody in the chat asking why this situation is worth all this energy. This is why. This is a pretty big deal. And so let's get to the maturation of teenage boys. So Usher was 15 years old, but nothing about him ever seemed juvenile. That's not okay. Children are children. All this like, he seemed old for his age. She seemed mature for her age. Cut that shit out. We do that specifically to black men. We do that a lot. We age them up beyond their years. A 15-year-old boy is a 15-year-old boy. The apparent maturity doesn't change anything. It's like when people date, it's usually women dating older people when they're in high school, right? And the comment is always, oh, girls are mature for their age. That's normal. No, it's not. Someone in their 20s who thinks they're mature is not mature. Just scientifically, they're not mature. Literally, they haven't matured. The lobes of the brain are not there yet. So this whole attitude we have is of that it's okay. No, it's not. And he said, I was turning him over to the wildest party guy in the country at an age when I still needed to get his mother's permission. I mean, it seems like you knew. You know what I'm saying? It seems like you knew. And you didn't know whether he was being irresponsible or having an epiphany. I mean, that tells you you're being irresponsible by definition. I don't. So we see Usher with Diddy. We see Usher with L.A. Reid on the left and Bieber, who is Usher's protege, on the right. And this is so he said the curious things taking place, right? We're gonna get specific about the curious things. He said in 2004 in a Rolling Stone interview that Diddy introduced him to a totally different set of shit, sex specifically. He said, sex is so hot in the industry, man. There was always girls around. You'd open the door and see somebody doing it, or several people in a room having an orgy. You never knew what was gonna happen. Yikes. That's a lot. So like, I say that to say, there's a lot of things that people speculate about in the music industry that happens with young stars and what they're exposed to and what happens to them. And I think this is enough, right? This is enough of an admission that at the bare minimum, Usher was subjected to situations that no teenager should ever be subjected to. He was in a highly inappropriate environment. At the best case scenario, he was thrown into a highly adult, highly sexualized environment way too early. And that's true of a lot of black men. It was true of me when I was a teenager. Like, I can not relate, obviously, to popping open doors and seeing orgies, but I was exposed to sex at too early of an age, sexual influences at too early of an age, and it happens to a lot of young men. We prematurely age them up and expose them to these situations that they shouldn't be in. And for some people, it's a story that they tell, right? But for other people, it dramatically affects them. It affects their love lives. It affects the way they see the world. And I think, in my opinion, I'm not psychoanalyzing anybody. I don't have a degree in psychology. But in my opinion, it almost has to be a contributing factor to why someone would defend a serial sexual abuser in this way. I don't think you can do that as casually as Usher just did it in this interview without things like that altering the way you see sex and the sex parties that Diddy had and the outright abuse that he engaged in with his partner. Like, I'm not giving him an excuse either. I just think this is a contributing factor. So I had to bring it up, but I also had to bring it up because the interviewer didn't mention that. If you're bringing up old interviews and you forget the fact that Usher said he wouldn't let his kids stay with this man, you're missing a pretty important part of this, right? Like, you're missing a pretty crucial ingredient. That's, to me, is irresponsible interviewing.
For us as black entrepreneurs, for us as businessmen, for us as people who transition, culture and ideas into something that's tangible and becomes business, so many people benefited from what he created. And I acknowledge that. And that's why I see him as legacy.
So the selective acknowledgement, when you say you acknowledge that, like, you choose to acknowledge one part of someone's legacy, it's like me saying that I choose to acknowledge OJ as a somebody asked for closed captions. Can we throw those on? Taiwan, I've never tried to do it before. If we can make that happen, please do. I don't even know if that works in real time, but let's try to do that for the people that are watching that may need that. But what I was saying was, it was like me saying O.J. Simpson was a great football player, and just refusing to acknowledge everything else that he's been implicated in and what he's most famous for. Honestly, at this point, it's like overlooking MJ's clearly strange behavior with children just because, you know, he's one of the best musicians of all time. Same with R. Kelly, right? Like, it's irresponsible at a certain point to miss giant sections of a person's legacy that are kind of integral to how the public receives them and perceives them. You can't just skip over this stuff. It is necessary to bring that up. Just like I'll say the same thing. I'm the biggest Kobe fan there was while he was alive, but you can't leave out his legacy of pretty much admitting to sexually assaulting somebody. Like that is that's not okay. That's irrevocably wrong. It's incontrovertibly wrong. And you don't get to preserve one aspect of someone's legacy just because you like what they do and you like their profession, and that's not how this works. Choosing to acknowledge one thing and ignoring 120 alleged victims with security camera footage of him beating Cassie. Come on, son. Like, you can't do that. It's deeply irresponsible. And you're a person who calls himself a mentor, who says that you have this impact on the next generation that you want to leave. It's extremely disappointing. And thank you, E66IU. Yeah, Taiwan said we'll get captions for the next stream. Apologies for not working that out for this one. We'll figure it out. I don't think we've ever done that before, but I make custom captions for all my videos and subtitles. So I see you, I hear you, and we'll make that happen for y'all. Some E66IU said they used to be the biggest fan of Karl Malone, and I think that's an important one for me to mention. Karl Malone is a rapist. He's a statutory rapist. He raped a teenager as a professional NBA player. Like, he wasn't like in college when this happened. He was an NBA player, and he was in the NBA like all-time 75 best players or whatever. And like, granted, he probably belongs in that class if not for raping a child, right? Like, that's the problem here. Like, we can't continue to celebrate these people. And I'm going to come back to that because Usher does another celebration of a person towards the end of this that is not okay. But anyway, let's return to Mr. Raymond.
Puff was a mentor, but he was like a, you know, you have that really, really hard teacher, you know, but you're watching something in real time. You know, I think that the idea of the level of discipline that came with that time in business, especially in an era that was trying to prove itself culturally in hip hop. Now, you can't turn on the television and not see the influence of hip hop.
That's right.
But the people who actually made that appropriate and are the forefathers are people like Sean Combs. And not just in the great times that they had musically, but in the idea of being able to find ways to monetize culture and create something that was not just black or white. It was colorless. It was green. That's who I see that man as. And that's what I choose to remember. I put respect on his name because I realized that, you know, what I learned as a businessman before I even understood what business was came as a result of seeing the incredible things that he was able to do.
Yeah, man. This is dark. This is dark. I think it's like there's a lot of ways this interview could have gone, right? Like, you can get in front of Forbes or whoever and you know handpick your interviewers and whatever these celebrities tend to do. I've had to be in those situations before, and you can give this fluff answer about a person you've always looked up to and worked with and whatever. But this is the worst possible version of this response, right? Because he just kept digging the hole deeper. He didn't stop at, you know, it's complicated and, well, he didn't even do that. Like, he didn't even acknowledge really the harm. He just kind of brushed it off as nobody's perfect. That is bullshit. It's absolute bullshit, and the smoke is deserved. Every single iota of smoke that Usher has gotten for this interview is deserved. This is deeply, deeply irresponsible. Every single word he chose to formulate and put out of his mouth about Diddy was dismissive of all these women and men's pain, dismissive of their accounts, basically acting like none of it happened, and choosing to instead to focus on the monetization of music and culture. He literally said monetization of culture like it's a good thing. Like there's not a lot of gentrification in that. Like there's not a lot of exploitation in that. He even mentioned in this same interview how his first contract was exploitative via LaFace. And he refuses to connect the dots to the fact that, you know, turning hip hop into just green and monetizing all of it is not this like oasis of great outcomes. TLC got milked by that same ecosystem for years. Like people he's collaborated with, people he's friends with were used up and abused by that system. This is like the most pro-capitalist salvo disguised as respect for a mentor that I've ever seen. Like it's bad. It's like this is worse than anything I think Jay-Z said in his recent interview. That was a bunch of capitalist bullshit too. But what Usher just said is the peak of irresponsibility. And Taiwan asked in the chat a little while ago that about like if this changed your view on Usher. And for those who know, to T and Poetry's point, for those who know, you know what went down with the exploitation of Bieber and Usher kind of contributing to putting Bieber in those same kind of situations himself. It shouldn't, but like to me, I wasn't even fully informed on what happened with Bieber until I dug deeper into this, right? And so I still saw, as most recently as I met Usher for the second time, I still saw him as somebody that was like a music icon and who I respected, whose work I respected, and who I was happy to see, you know, when he walked into the room. But finding out more about what happened with Bieber and then him saying this in this interview really illuminated some things for me. I'm not a person who looks up to celebrities in the first place, as I mentioned to y'all. I just respect their work, like them for whatever they've accomplished in their field. I'm a huge R&B head, so Usher was one of my favorite artists, and I can no longer call him that. I don't look up to anybody that isn't my dad, but I can't, you know, appreciate his work separately from the person he's shown himself to be, because I don't separate the work from the artist. I don't think that's something anybody should do. And I'll end this section on Usher by saying that at the end of his interview, towards the end of his interview, he was asked which artists, you know, in 2026 that he's listening to that he appreciates. And he mentioned Kehlani. She had that whole Folded run that won her a Grammy. Like, great stuff. Love Kehlani. But she's been problematic in the past as well. So I guess I can't say I love her either. I don't know how that shook out with the kind of abuse thing that she was accused of. So y'all inform me on what happened with that. But her music I've always been a fan of, right? And then he went to, I think he named somebody else first. No, he moved to Chris Brown right after that. So we're just lining up abusers now. And I know they're prior collaborators. I know they made New Flame together all those years back and all that type of stuff. But come on, son. It never ceases to amaze me how all these capitalists stick together. Like all these people at the pinnacle of their fields who have employees and ecosystems that work for them continue to lift each other up when they're doing heinous things. I'm not going to fill y'all in on everything Chris Brown has done, but it didn't stop at hitting one person. And in case anybody in the chat thought that was the case, no, that's not. No, this man is a serial abuser and kind of always has been. And even beyond that, like blatantly disrespects women in his music. To me, that matters. To y'all, that might not matter. But anyway, moving on. The co-signing of abusers in the music industry time and time and time again is a trend. It's a pattern that those of us who pay attention have noticed. And it's getting really, really annoying at this point. Like I'm sick of this shit. So that's Usher. I'm gonna move on to the second co-star of this video. LaRussell. And I'm gonna, less of an intro. A lot of y'all don't know who LaRussell is, but anybody who's tapped into hip hop has at least heard his name. Probably he's like, the savior of the Bay, so to speak. He's a big rapper to them. Like he's important to them. Like culturally, he's important to the Bay. He's I met him. I created a startup with 3 other guys years back that I got kicked out of. That video was early in my YouTube run, so find that on my page after this if you want. We may drop the link to it. But I got kicked out of my own startup, right? And long story there. But when we started it, we moved out to Tulsa, to Black Wall Street. And there was like a startup accelerator there. So we got funded. We got over $1 million in funding to start this company where we worked with live streaming technology. And I was responsible as the musician, the only musician on the board. I was responsible for running the audio visual equipment and setting up the streams for the concerts and working with venue owners and stuff like that. So like that was a big job and I did my best. But while we were doing all that, one of the highlights was throwing events to draw attention to our company, right? We would throw concerts, festivals, that type of thing. We only threw like one festival, but a lot of concerts, like a lot. I performed in one of them. As the founder of the company, I performed in one of the concerts to like kind of keep that energy up as one of the co-headliners. But we brought LaRussell to Tulsa, along with Rhapsody and some other artists that were like Fire in Little Africa. They're a big collective out of Tulsa, the Greenwood district. If y'all know anything about that area, Fire in Little Africa is like a really, really talented collective of rappers, singers. And so all of them were on the lineup. Great show. But LaRussell was like the second co-headliner along with Rhapsody, right? And I met him in passing. I just met him, like dapped him up, talked to him for a little while, and then he did his set. And so similar to the encounter with Usher, it was brief, and we went our separate ways. But he struck me as somebody who values his community and who even what he was doing with rap, it always felt like it was bigger than just being a good rapper. Because honestly, he's not my cup of tea. Like he's not what I see as like a rapper's rapper. He's more, sometimes he's straight up talking. Like it's not like he's the most skillful rapper, but he does have skills. Like he makes good music. I'm not going to take that away from him. Go check out his discography. I have no hate for him as a musical artist whatsoever. But the controversy that LaRussell got into recently was in front of a crowd of people at a local event. I think this was in the Bay. It had to be because people were just so into it and it was so intimate. He performed a new record, unreleased song that came off more like spoken word than a song, but it technically had music attached. I don't even know if I can get away with playing this, but I'm gonna play the clips of it. I'm gonna play clips of it. If I have to cut it out of the video, I'll have to cut it out, and we'll talk about it after, so it's not that noticeable. But it's not only what he did in this performance, it's his response to the criticism. So we're going to look at both. We're going to look to how he took it in, how he responded to it, and really point out that this man has a lot of growing to do because he's only 5 years younger than me, but he has a temperament of a college kid at best, So let's get into the first clips of pieces of his response. No, not response, but his performance. I have to turn the music off for this because this is music.
About revolution. I don't just make songs you could dance to. I also make songs you could think to. The water $10 at the fest, but the liquor is $5. That's how they defeat you.
I'm sorry, y'all. I wanted to play a little bit longer than that, but like I clipped that there for a reason, because his initial statement. I'll read in the comments. His initial statement was that I make music that you can think to and not dance to, and not just dance to, right? So he wants to position himself as a thought leader, as a rapper, right? Like I say things that move people. I say things that are important, that are. I think he wants to be perceived that way, but it's not there, bro. Like you're not. Again, y'all remember I gave him props. He's talented, and at times there's a clip in this clip where in this sequence of clips where he has a nice couple of bars in there. So he's not a bad rapper, but that was bad. That was really bad, and he's not the guy when it comes to letting the work speak for itself. It's a sermon. Like the man is preaching, and so I'll let him keep going because I can just go forever on this bullshit. This is rough. Let me take myself off. I gotta get better at this this switch. There we go.
Niggas don't even talk like this no more. They be arguing with me on the net about substance. The fuck going on? Show me a real nigga who ain't got vices. Show me a pastor who got rich and still righteous. Show me a God that everybody agree on. What if Jesus was on the same shit that we on? What if Jesus was on the same shit that we on?
I don't hate that. I don't hate that. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't hate the couple of bars that came before the Jesus line. I don't hate that. That was a nice little couplet, smooth. It was on beat. Okay, that's good. So I only put that in there to show y'all that he can somewhat rap, but like all together, this is bad. This is like it's like a sermon. It's like a sermon, and for this to be an unreleased track that he's debuting, let's start with the fact that it's a bad song. And this is important for us to note, not just because I need to roast this man, right? But because it's going to reflect on his response later. It matters that we start with the fact that this is a very bad song. And then let's move on to some of the things he says in that bad song.
Hey, I'm not perfect, and neither is the president. Was guiltier than a nigga hiding evidence. You can't be mad that they heated if you don't let them vent. Even the devil was heaven sent. Even Malcolm was heaven sent. Even Martin was heaven sent. Even Kanye was heaven sent. We all heaven sent. Donald too. We all heaven sent. Epstein too. We all heaven sent. Adolf too. We all heaven sent. Even you. We all heaven sent.
Okay, so oh man, I love watching this with y'all because it's like I was too embarrassed to finish it. Like when I was watching it, I got that like weird feeling when you're watching somebody and you're like, stop, like please stop, like oh my god, like, the secondhand embarrassment, dog. Like I was like, oh my goodness. Oh man. So that's the meat of it, right? It keeps going. There's more I can show y'all in a second, but like that's the meat of it. It's the phrasing. So we started with the fact that this is a bad song. Like this is just unequivocally really bad. Like bad, like you might as well just have made that up on the spot. That was like a freestyle. So let's start there. But then the even, right? So like grammatically, it's bad. And he's going to defend it later. But grammatically saying even Martin, even Malcolm. Look, those guys had their problems, but like Martin and Malcolm are like the most universally celebrated black civil rights icons of all time. So what the fuck you mean even? And then like lumping them in in the same ballpark as Donald Trump and Epstein and Adolf. Like, I'm not gonna say that he meant the worst possible interpretation of this, because I know he didn't. I'm not stupid. I'm not trying to pin this man against the wall for actually supporting these people that he mentions at the end. But the phrasing of it is really bad. Like, other creators have talked about it. Heaven sent means one thing. It does not mean that God created everybody. If that's what you meant, you should have said that shit. Heaven sent is always positive. That has a positive connotation. That's something you say to somebody that you're happy about, who is a positive force on your life. Always. There is no wiggle room here. That is the wrong word. He shouldn't have used it. And he used it so many times. Like, he may not ever live this down because of how hard he doubled down on it, especially after the fact. That's the core problem here. So remember what the core problem is. Not that, like, oh, you can't speak your mind, because he's going to go into that later. But, like, come on, son. This is a lot.
I made this record and I sent it off to my engineer, and he calls me. He said, man, you probably shouldn't put this out. I said, why? What the hell happened? He said, you talking about Epstein, there's a lot of shit going on. And I said, thank you for calling me. I'm finna drop this. That's exactly why we need it. Because everybody sit and be silent. And the goal of an artist is to express the times and say all the things that nobody else want to say or know how to say. I remember I did an event with a company called Intuit and United Masters. And they didn't really work out because in between, like, everything they wanted me to do, they kind of wanted me to, like, tone down my blackness. But they didn't want to tell me that. So, they would kind of walk around it. And I remember we went all the way to Texas to do a show. And right before I go on, a lady come up to me, a white woman, and she said, could you not say the N-word? And I looked, and I smiled. Nigga, please. And I walked to that stage. I've never been so excited to go to a stage. And as soon as I got on that stage, I said, African nigga in a European whip. Like we ain't come here on no European ship. Fuck your opinions, shut your European lips. Money and murder. This nigga.
Nah, it's not it. It's not it. Not it. So as I mentioned, this is clearly, his people. They knew all the words to that last track. These are fans, obviously. I don't know if this was a paid event or what, or if this was like, family and friends, intimate base situation. But he's trying to make a point there, right? He's trying to make the point that all that bullshit we heard leading up to this is the byproduct of him speaking his mind and dropping important truths that we all need to hear. And the piano, and him just like being this truth teller, right? Being this this source of truth that we need to respect and that we need to listen to, and that he's breaking ground, and he's being basically Kanye, like what Kanye thinks he is. That's the vibe I got this whole time. Like, I'm gonna say some wild shit, completely ungrounded in anything logical, and then I'm gonna defend it by talking about free speech and my right to be a rapper and a young black man with opinions. And he made it racial with the concert that he performed at with Intuit and United Masters or whatever, or that he didn't perform at, because they wanted him to hide his blackness. I've been a musician, you know what I'm saying? I've been a rapper. I performed for thousands of people at one point, and it's there's a unique amount of, I think, fake power that rushes to your head when you're in those situations. If I could describe to y'all, anybody in the chat who's never been on stage for anything. You don't have to be a musician, but if you've ever even given a presentation, a speech, anything in front of a big enough crowd, like a crowd that's big enough where you can't see anybody for real. You can only see like the front row, and then there's just hella people behind them, and you kind of have to dissociate because you can't focus on any one person. When it's that scale of an audience, it does something to your psyche. In my experience, like there's no feeling like it. There's no feeling like being on stage and having the attention of that many people and kind of controlling. You're basically controlling how their night goes. You're controlling where their attention goes. It's really powerful, right? And I personally don't think humans are built psychologically to be able to handle that over an extended period of time. It comes back to the headline of this video with fame being blinding and unhealthy. I think it's a natural state for anybody to be in for too long because it naturally makes you think that you actually have that kind of power and you're that kind of you're that important, right? But you have to realize that when the lights die down and the attention dies down, you're responsible for the things you say in between your songs. And even in your songs, if you do them the way he just did them, if they're like a sermon, you're responsible for the lyrics of your song. You can get away with a lot in lyrics, but those weren't really lyrics. That was more so that was like a spoken word performance. So I don't think that's gonna fly. So let me see. I don't think he was done. Let him finish, and then we're gonna get to his response to the criticism, which is just classic.
About revolution. I don't just make songs you could dance to.
Oh yeah, that started over at the top. So we're gonna move on to his response and what he had to say after the blowback happened, because this is crucial. We're gonna remove and add.
Briefed me yesterday on all the outrage, and my first thought was, niggas ain't that slow. But I go and look, and niggas that slow. Just listen to the music. Like, it's no way niggas hear that clip and they like, you support Epstein. When the world be in despair, sometimes you need realization. And that realization for me through this song was like, damn, the same God who created Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, who did so many great things, is the same God that created Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, who did so many evil things. And it's crazy the range of what a human life is capable of. It's capable of changing the world and detrimenting the world. That's the purpose of the song. That's my realization of like, damn, this is all from the same place, and look which way it can go when somebody is misguided, when somebody doesn't have all the tools, when somebody just chooses to use their life in a negligent way. Be fucking for real. It's so crazy how fast it go from black boy fly to get back in line, nigga. Y'all want a nigga to be constricted and restricted so bad. And I'm never not gonna be free. I'm never not gonna be free of my speech and free of my thought and free of my art. Artists and comedians is the niggas who's supposed to express the times and what's going on and communicate it in a way that's like, man, this is what came to me. Y'all love to create enemies and try to bash anybody who has an opposing thought to how you feel. Nigga, I ain't gotta show up how you want me to show up. This shit for me and my people and my base who resonate and connect. Everybody else could suck my dick. And there's niggas who don't do a quarter, a tenth of what I do. You niggas benefiting off shit I've done. What you do besides talk on the net? Even you haven't sent with your dumb ass. Shout out to my people who know, who been here since Do That Little Dance, who been here since Soup and Crackers, who know what's up with me. And shout out to our new niggas who just been waiting for a reason to hate a nigga. You know, that'll take the truth. Me saying Jeffrey Epstein is heaven sent is the truth. God made him too. A lot of you niggas be so religious and so spiritual and so righteous, but this is what you do with your time and your effort. Hey, don't be free as no artist. Don't say whatever message is delivered to you. Don't write what come to you. Don't share what you think about the world. You know how stupid that sounds? Y'all insane. You niggas become masters so fast. Boy, you better watch your mouth. Boy, you better watch what you do. It's even retarded niggas in there like, man, you be at schools around kids. Yeah, changing their life and helping them become something and giving them journeys and careers and an example of what they could be. What you be doing for them? Your kids don't even like you. You niggas just like to be triggered. And anything could trigger y'all. Anything could move y'all niggas. The simplest thing, just hearing something, could move you and get y'all to rally against a nigga who in his community giving back. A nigga who buying out grocery stores, a nigga who taking kids to get shoes and get clothes, nigga who buying out restaurants, niggas who helping out the homeless. now I'm the enemy, because you don't like how a nigga said something or what a nigga said. Because you committed to misunderstanding. Get the fuck out of here.
Okay. There were points where I was going to pause that, but I felt like it made the most sense to let him finish his point and then, you know, deliver my criticism after. But that was a lot. Honestly, I'm sorry that I had to play that. I just, like I told y'all, context is important. I like to let people talk themselves into holes before I start criticizing them. I don't like pausing people's statements a lot unnecessarily. But yeah, that was a lot. So there was slurs. There was a copious use of the N-word. I don't personally use that word, so I'll probably have to do a whole documentary about my feelings on that word, and bring other creators into it. But my first thought, as a person who's met LaRussell and used to respect his mission, his goals as an artist, his community work, he wasn't lying about that. He does work in the community. He gives back to his community, and they very much see him as more than a rapper. They see him as an aspirational figure that, you know, made it rapping, got a deal. He's working with Even, the alternative distribution service that I've talked to y'all about before, that goes directly to the fans and makes money that way, as opposed to being slaves to the streaming services. He's very innovative in how he sells his music, how he markets his music. But all of this was not it. This was, at best, I think the most positive thing I can say about it is that it was stupid as shit. Like, that's me being nice. That was deeply, deeply immature. And so that's why I brought up his age earlier, because this guy's 31 years old, man. Like, this is not a kid. He's 31, and that puts him at the tail end of millennials, right? Like, he's still a millennial at 31. So he's way too old to be dealing with this, like to be creating these straw men that he knocks down over and over again. Like, he originally started it off like creating this fake target. That's what straw man is, for those who aren't familiar with this fallacy, is you're building a fake enemy that you can then beat up on, right, in your argument. When nobody said that shit. Nobody has ever told him, like, shut up, black boy, you can't talk. Like, none of that happened. Nobody is criticizing him on that basis, ever. Nobody has ever said anything to that regard. People who don't even know he was a rapper, maybe they came into the picture and started criticizing him like that. But, like, that's not where this is coming from. What you made a bad song, really, really bad song. Like, if history tells us anything, is that if your song slaps, you can get away with a lot of fuck shit, like a lot. Most of the artists we look up to and revere in hip hop and R&B, they've only gotten away with some of the heinous shit they've said about women, about, you know, differently abled people, etc., because the song was good. But that was a bad song. So you made a bad song, you said some bad shit, and then in your response, you essentially belittled everybody, because it wasn't just your non-fans that were criticizing you. It was your fans too. It was people who look up to you. It was people who see you as their hometown hero in the Bay. That is the problem here. That's the core problem, is that he's not able to see past the embarrassment and the pain of being called out by that many people on that big of a stage. Again, I try not to, you know, equate myself with people who are on a different level of notoriety than me because it can muddy my point. But we share experiences in that I've been a public figure for a couple years now. And I've dealt with criticism on a level that most people who do not do entertainment will never have to deal with. I've had entire comment sections telling me like, this ain't it. Like, Cam, this ain't it. You made a miscalculation. For those of you who are not new here, you know that happened very recently. So I've been through it many times on different levels, right? Videos that were super successful that I got roasted about, videos that were not successful that I got roasted about. I've never completely sold out my principles, I don't think, in a video, but I have made some bad choices. Things I overlooked. Sometimes maybe my research didn't go as far as it needed to go, didn't ask the right questions, or I had an opinion that half my audience agreed with, half my audience disagreed with. And that smoke never stops coming when you're a public person. You can't turn it off. Like, if I take 3 days off of making YouTube videos or whatever, I'm living my life, there's hundreds of people still commenting. I just don't see them. So like, it never stops coming in. And then there's the block and hidden comments that are straight up calling me slurs. So I've been there as far as taking criticism on a large scale, but I've obviously never made a splash like what he just did, where you did something in a performance that wouldn't have even gone that far if you didn't do it, for one. And you offended a hell of a lot of people. And you have a choice to make when you do that, right? That's why I bring up my experience with this. You have a choice to make when you make that mistake and when the smoke comes. You can either acknowledge it and decide for yourself, like, oh, is this valid criticism? Like, are they coming at me for a good reason? Did I make a misstep here? And that takes introspection, right? And that goes back to what Usher was talking about. Like, I don't look inside anymore. Maybe you should, like, because no matter how big you are, you have to keep being situationally aware of what's going on in the world, of what you say, what you put out into the world, and the impact that your words have on other people. And calling all those people heaven sent was a mistake. It was an unequivocal mistake, and he's smart enough to know that. That's the problem. If he was stupid, if he was actually a stupid man, then a lot of this would be more forgivable, actually. But he's not. He chose pride intentionally. He chose to call everybody stupid instead of dealing with the criticism straight on, course correcting, and being like, y'all know what? I used the wrong words. Here was my message. Here was what I was trying to get across. I apologize for, the offense that a lot of people took from my words, for me offending them, taking active voice instead of passive voice. I apologize for offending people and for saying things that are offensive. And here's what I'm going to do to not make those mistakes again. I'm still learning. I'm a young man, a young-ish man. All of that, any version of that would have been better than what he chose to do. That's really what it comes down to. You have to, and yeah, somebody, Gaylord SN typed in the chat, 72-hour rule. Sit on it, man. Let it think. Let it simmer. Understand what's happening, understand where the smoke is coming from, whether it's justified, not justified, formulate an intelligent response, and deal with it. But everything about this screamed a deep, deep level of insecurity, of wanting to be Kanye adjacent, thinking that you're Kanye as far as your achievements go. I'm not saying Kanye gets away with it either, because I don't fuck with him anymore because of his actions and statements. But come on, son. Like, this is a lot. And ultimately, what I really want to do, to make the point I want to make about LaRussell is that I gave him props for actually having talent earlier, right? So please don't take my statements out of context if this goes further than I anticipated going. But he's just not talented enough to do what he's trying to do. He's not a good enough lyricist. He's not a deep enough thinker. He's not introspective enough to pull off the message he was trying to pull off in the way that he tried to pull it off. I'm not even claiming that I'm better in some way. The old me would have, but I'm not a rapper anymore, so I'm not trying to get entangled in that. But I just this ain't it. This is a really really bad look. And like I said at the top, I don't care about celebrities. Ultimately, if he crashes and burns or he rises like a phoenix and gets over this, either way, like shine, black man. As long as you don't actively hurt or abuse anybody, then do you, bro. But like, it's just, to me, it's a pattern. It's a pattern that I'm seeing with people who are in entertainment who think that they're above reproach, they're above correction, and they fire back against valid criticism in this way that it inspires the next generation, because again, he's a millennial. It inspires the next generation to be similarly irresponsible with their time and their efforts and their words. And it's held to people looking up to him, the kids who are in that crowd who listened to him say all that about Adolf and Epstein and all that. The kids, one of the kids who had asked him a question on the mic in the crowd before that, it gives them a bad impression of what you're supposed to do with that size of an audience and with that much power, right? So I'll conclude on that and get to y'all's questions and comments. If you got any you starred, Taiwan, bring those up to me so we can holler at the people. I would love to talk to the engineer. Like, if we can make that happen, that would be fantastic. Bring the engineer in. Let's get his comments, because that engineer could have saved his life. You gotta listen to your community, man. It's important. People got your best interests at heart. Yeah, E66IU. I think it's relative, and I think with the point that Usher was making about $1 million, I think his point was somewhat valid, right? Because what he was saying was like, what are you putting up? Like, join me. And I think he was posing it as a challenge to people with similar means to put up as much money, right? He wants to challenge his compatriots, his fellow celebrities, to join, to lean in with him and add their own money to the pot. And so I do think we need to stop diluting the impact of other people's donations. When I've never had $1 million to just donate to anybody. I'm not praising capitalists at all. What I'm saying is that $1 million, it doesn't matter what's happening in the economy. It's a lot of money, like, period. It's more money than I've ever seen in one place. And it's probably true for everybody in this chat. So I think we can criticize Usher without, I'm not saying this is all the way what you were doing, to be clear, but we can criticize Usher without downplaying the scale of people's contributions. But we do need to have a critical eye on what that contribution's doing, the impact it's making, and the lives it's changing, and whether he's actually following through with his commitments that are attached to that money, if that makes sense. I appreciate that comment. Yeah, Tay baby 6747. Justin Bieber was with Diddy for a nice minute too. Yeah, he was. I'm not here to speculate on anything that happened to or with Bieber, with any of these men, but he was very much funneled into that system as a young artist, and it explains why he confronted Usher at that, was it post award show event. It explains that. I think whatever he was addressing him about was deeply irresponsible, and it's probably part of it. Catmore 9, Cam, how did you navigate being a rapper while disliking the use of the N-word? Not saying the two things are inextricably connected, but still, shrug emoji. Appreciate the comment and the question. It was hard. I wouldn't say it was hard for me. Like, it's not hard to not say the word, right? That's not hard at all, actually. And the reason I realized that I needed to stop doing that was my parents called me out. Quite frankly, like, they listen to and watch everything I do. They watch all my YouTube videos. They're probably going to watch this. And for a while, my music wasn't a thing that my dad supported, but he came around when he realized, like, oh, you're like really serious about this, aren't you? And I was like, yeah. Like, when I started to land placements and get songs on shows and stuff like that. And I was on this radio show, and then my dad was like, "Yeah, like you're serious." And I was like, "Yeah, man." And ever since then, my dad's been my number one supporter in everything I've ever done. He's my biggest supporter on YouTube, so I want to give him all the props that he deserves, but be honest about how we got here. But it's not hard to cut the word out. If you're actually a good lyricist, you don't need to use the N-word. You don't need it. Like it's just an emphasis word, and it's a cultural kind of safe place for people to use in lyrics to make themselves feel tough and bold, but also secure in community. The N-word has a lot of layers to it, right? And I'll probably explore those at some point. But cutting it out isn't hard. It's just being around people all the time that use it nonstop. I was in the studio with people who did nothing but smoke weed and use the N-word and disrespect women and call them out of their names. And so being in those environments can be challenging because you just don't want to be around it anymore. So I would say the hardest part is being in those environments, not changing your lyrics or changing the way you approach the music. For me, it was a good challenge to be able to make my music hit as hard without using those comfortable kind of safe words within rap, if that makes sense. Emery Ricks, another kid, his name slipping my mind, came out of that camp completely traumatized. He never got an album. Yeah, man. I don't think we'll ever know all the names from the Diddy camp that we mentioned. I already forgot the name, but the Puff whatever camp that Usher went to as a teenager. I'm sure we'll never know all those names. I'm sure we'll never know all those people. And the music industry is already full of people who had a come up or had maybe one hot single and fizzled out, whether it was lack of work ethic, whether it was the label system destroying them, shelving them, not giving them adequate support and marketing. All those play a part in what happens to you in the aftermath of getting famous for the first time, right? The music industry's fucked up. I'm glad I'm not in it anymore, just to be completely honest with you. I'm really glad I jumped out of it when I did and decided to use my talents in another way. Fishscale U, from Bambaataa to Simmons to Diddy, African Bambaataa, and Simmons from, why am I forgetting his name? Russell. It's good that I forgot his name. Russell Simmons from Run DMC and Diddy. This has been an issue with hip hop / R&B since its inception. They protect their own at the expense of our communities, culture, and adolescence. Too sad. 100% correct. Couldn't say it any more concise than that. Yeah, Alicia, I am still writing. Thank you. But yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem in capitalism in general. I've noted it before. The rich protect the rich because once you've broken through, once you become famous, those are your people now. You're no longer, in the words of Usher, really, you're not black or white anymore, to an extent. There's still racism at every level of society, but to an extent, when you're rich, you're rich. Once you're in, those are your people. They don't really see everybody else. They see everybody else as fans and sources of income as opposed to still their community, still people they owe something to. And, what I've tried my best to do is remind myself every day that like my job isn't possible without my community. It's not possible without my viewers. And I can't afford to sell y'all out. Like I can't afford to do something that's gonna have y'all looking at me like, the fuck? Like, what is Cam talking about? Like I thought he said this and now he's like, I don't think that's a sustainable long-term business plan. I don't think it's good for business, period. Like, even if I was a selfish capitalist, I don't think it's good for business to betray your base like that. I've never understood that business strategy, much less like the ethical side of it, right? It's just not smart. But I think when you get too big to fail, people forget that. Usher's been famous for so long. And LaRussell has been so hot within his community that I think you can just lapse into this attitude of thinking that nothing can bring you down and that you're a truth teller and everything you say is so powerful and so important and so many people listen to me. But please, any aspiring creators, anybody who wants to be a YouTuber even, please don't ever let the numbers get to your head, because one, they can disappear tomorrow. But also, it's at the end of the day, you turn that computer off and those numbers are no longer in front of you, especially if you're a celebrity. You can't even go outside if you're Usher, right? Like, you have to have security everywhere. So he's essentially alone. So you're creating a situation where you're even more alone all the time, because not only can you not socialize with the people, but if you did, they wouldn't like you. At least some of them wouldn't like you. Usher's a superstar. Nothing he says in an interview can make him not a superstar. But like, there's already a section of the people that are like looking at him funny, me included. He didn't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, he shot himself in the foot. It was self-inflicted. And it just happens every time one of these artists takes the microphone. It's like, what are you doing? Like, you didn't need to do that. So I appreciate you making that point. MJ Oath. I'm so hurt as an Usher stan. I just want him to shut the fuck up. I agree. I agree. I just keep telling myself it's because he's uneducated. He didn't go to school. Like, damn, I don't even want to listen to him right now. That's the thing. Like, you know, because not going to school doesn't make somebody uneducated, right? I don't know actually how much education he got. Obviously, he was famous in high school, so he couldn't do the normal route of graduating and all that. I don't know if he got his GED. He probably did. But like, none of that makes you unintelligent, right? I've always seen him as relatively level-headed and intelligent in past interviews and things I've seen him do. But there's levels of intelligence and types of intelligence, right? This to me betrays just a lack of emotional intelligence, situational awareness, all these things that don't factor into like street smarts or whatever. Like, there's just so many different types, but it does betray in both of these cases. LaRussell, Usher, you know, I put hubris on the cover. It's just like, it betrays a level of just not being aware of what the hell you're saying and what it means when you say these things, and realizing when you need to draw the line between supporting your capitalist friends and being a decent human being. He didn't need to make this as bad as it did, but he just kept going. And that was another common thing with him and LaRussell in this situation. Their responses were way too long, and they got worse as they went. They got worse and worse and worse. Again, hubris. Only hubris can do that. Only having such a huge estimation of yourself and your importance can do that. Appreciate that. What's next? I'll listen to my engineer next time. Always listen to your engineer. They know what they're doing. They sit and listen to you all day. All right, how we doing on time? 8:40. Cool. Emery Ricks, Cam, one day looking into the grooming history / culture in the modeling industry. That is where all of this came from. Interesting. I'm grappling with where all this came from, being the modeling industry, whether that's true or not. Or I'm always thinking about the causes of the effects, right? That's like my job, is to like go back to the roots and find out why this happened and how we can prevent it from happening. I don't know if the modeling industry is the first time. I think, you know, like with me, y'all know with everything I do, I go back to structures and systems. And I mentioned Usher being religious for a reason, because I know people are watching this and they're religious and they're Christians or whatever. And sometimes I feel like I'm going to offend Christians, and they'll tell me themselves like, "Nah, that wasn't offensive. You're all right." But that has to be part of the conversation. It goes back to the structures and reinforcing of religion in our society and what that does to, because I mean, who are the number one groomers, right? Who are the ones who get in trouble for being groomers the most? It's priests. It's some of the officials in the church. They're the most high-profile groomers of all time. And so I think that's one of the systems that we have to go back to, and how it extends into a patriarchal society like we have in America, and what that does to how we treat young men. So I think it goes back to the systems, but I'm not saying you're wrong about the modeling industry. It's definitely something that's very rife in that industry, and I would love to explore it. But I'd love to actually talk to some talked to some models and former like stylists and participants in the industry to really get down to the reality of it. I'm sure there's documentaries that already did that, but I always try to bring a unique angle to whatever I do. So, I would love to, do that video. I appreciate the suggestion. I'll write that down. Taiwan. I try not to say it like that. Like I want to talk to models too. Yeah. And models are just people, bro. Who cares what Eli thinks? Again, what was the message he was trying to send by comparing Malcolm X and MLK to Hitler? I'm still not really sure what point he was trying to make. Like a baby in the future could go down either path. No, he tried to explain in his response. I think I put that section in there, where he was saying that even that the best people and the worst people are all sent by God, right? They're all made by God. That was his point that he was trying to convey. Obviously, he conveyed that extremely badly, but that was what he was trying to say. And I believe him. I think that was his intention. But as I mentioned, he does not have the skills to convey that message clearly and in a way that's going to impact people and have them support him in that message clearly. But no, and you said you were looking for something deeper. There was nothing deeper. I think that was it. In Cole 1157. I thought that Justin Bieber and Usher pick was AI. It was real. Yeah, no, yeah, 100% real. Yeah, Bieber's Usher's protege, and he's very much the mentor to him. I heard he has another. I heard he has another artist. He mentioned his artist, like I think this name Jadon. And in that interview, he mentioned that he has another artist he's mentoring right now. Jadon. J.D. McCrary. He's a singer. He's 18 and he's a singer. I'm going to find something. I can find an image of him and put him on screen. Y'all know I'm downtown because you can hear the cops. Share a screen. Yeah. All right. Yeah, y'all let me know when y'all can see this. But I've seen this kid before. I've seen videos of this kid singing outside of like this show or something like that. Usher signed him apparently. I mean, he's tall, but he reminds me of a baby Usher, obviously. I didn't know Usher was in the, artist mentoring business, but apparently he has at least one that he's trying to put up. Yeah, appreciate you. Appreciate that question in Cole, probably Nicole. My bad, Taiwan. I don't know if I showed people that picture. I think it got there eventually. I'm still figuring out parts of the string and shit. EVDV 2011. Cam, do you think it's likely that LaRussell just showed us who he really is and that he did not just make a little mistake? I think the reason I spoke to what it feels like to be on stage is that, sometimes people just making shit up as they go, right? You get that rush. Granted, this was pre-written, I think. I think the recorded version of it, I saw it on YouTube. I didn't listen to the recorded version of it yet, but it felt like he was kind of making this up as he went and picking out lines that he wanted to deliver because it was more like spoken word. But, I mean, in my opinion, if he wrote that, the way he wrote that, he's either really bad at grammar, really bad at wording things, which I don't think he is. I've heard his other music. He's not that bad of a rapper that he would make something that bad and not realize how bad it is. He's not stupid. So I'm not too, it's not like I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. I don't know him and I don't care about him, quite frankly. But based on what I know of his music and his movement thus far, I don't think he was trying to get across the worst possible question or image or whatever that people are putting on him. I don't think that was his intention. It was just a really, and it wasn't a little mistake, right? It was a big mistake. And I just don't think, I don't know how you make that mistake with his experience as an artist and as a wordsmith, right? Or I wouldn't call him a wordsmith, I guess, as a rapper who very much values the wording of the things he says and has built his reputation on the wording of the things he says. I don't know, man. Like, I can't label him as this intentionally evil guy. I just think he really fucked up, and I don't know how he did this. But all I can say is this ain't it. Fishscale, you again. I've been involved in the music business for 13 years. After my internship at United Masters, I decided to just go 100% independent. God bless you, Cam. You're raising the collective consciousness. Well, thank you. Thank you for the blessings. I really appreciate that. Yeah, man, music is rough. And shout out to everybody continuing to do it, continuing to push. Much love for y'all. And shout out to everybody like, I think I saw a lot of people mentioning that, he meant it and he's refusing to walk it back because of pride. I agree with you on that too. Like I'm definitely not disagreeing with that. Cochineal, like the ear canal, 2851. I think I got that right. Our biggest stars become famous for referring to themselves as pimps. As an artist, I find self-labeling to be so important. Usher's tour was an amazing spectacle, but reinforced pimp culture. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. There's a lot to be said about just, blatant misogyny in our music and how all of our biggest R&B stars have leaned into it. We saw R. Kelly doing that too. After he was already outed as being a terrible person, he was going on tour with like the pimp cups and the crazy ass outfits with the belts and the hats. And like, if y'all remember the type of shit R. Kelly was wearing on tour right around when that like era was petering out. But like women who were older than me, obviously, because that's his main fan base, they were stacking out these concerts. Like they were buying the tickets like crazy, going to see R. Kelly on tour. And he was just, flat out doing pimp shit in those concerts. And so we see it as a pattern. Obviously, R. Kelly and Usher have a similar mentor-mentee relationship. They've collaborated before, famously on Same Girl. And so I think it's these are patterns, These are patterns. It was a weird time. Shout out to Alicia Renice. We've collaborated before. Y'all go check her channel out. 100%. It was a weird time. It's still a weird time. And I look at all these younger, because they're my age, but younger women compared to R. Kelly's fans who are jocking Chris Brown still, who are jocking whoever the next singer is who's going to be a terrible person, who I'm probably not tapped in with right now. They're doing that to all of them because nostalgia is a powerful thing. We have our favorite artists from when we're growing up, and it's hard to let go of them because part of that is their identity, more so than maybe a male fan of Usher. Like I was a Usher, as much as I can be a stan of an R&B singer, I would be that for Usher, right? Like I know a lot of his music, like a shit ton of it. If you take out the EDM section of his career, I know like everything he's made. It was the same for R. Kelly. Like I was probably the biggest R. Kelly fan there is. And I was a decent, I was a fan of some of Chris Brown's music, but I wiped all of them off of all my playlists the moment I got wind of what they were doing or the things they've said publicly that support misogyny, that overlook people's like abusers and all their activities and uphold all this capitalist bullshit at the expense of all these victims. The moment all that shit came to light, I was like, all right, this sucks, but I guess I got to get rid of every R. Kelly song on my playlist. And it's the same for Chris Brown. It was the same for, I got to take Usher shit off of here now. Unless he comes out and like completely owns up to all this terrible shit he said and been like, oh, wait a minute, y'all, I fucked up. I should have not condoned any of that shit. I should have been open about like Diddy's crimes. Unless he says some shit like that really quickly, I got to dump Usher's shit off all my playlists too. Like I have a zero tolerance policy for this. For me, it's very very cut and dry. There is no separation between the art and the artist. You are responsible for everything, every message you put out into the world. There's a difference in being young and maturing out of it, right? Like I said, I didn't always not use the N-word in my music. I didn't always respect women as much as I respected them from, that point forward when I was in college after, right? Everybody gets a chance to grow in my eyes, but there are some things you can't come back from. And there are some things that necessarily require me to separate myself from your work, if that makes sense. Lena Days, I still think it's wild that people say, quote, oh, that's just how it was back then, end quote. Like, no, that was a predator. 100%. 100%. We do a lot of watering down of grooming and predation and just outright abuse, harassment. There's a lot of that going on. And to me, it goes back to, how we raise our young men, what we teach them, the influence that in some cases that religion has on our society. All of it plays a part in creating these structures that make it okay to oppress women. It's mostly women getting oppressed in these situations, but there's men too, right? There's men, especially in Diddy's case, there's men too. People with less power in general get victimized a lot. And if there's anything I exist for, is to keep shining a light on the people who are being oppressed, to to give their voices more weight, as much weight as I can, but also light the hell up light these predators the hell up, right? Give them a spotlight that's glaring for people to look at their flaws and look at what they've done to people and not write them off, because there's an immense societal pressure to just accept stars and allow them to do whatever they want to do forever, because we worship power, we worship capital, we worship access to women, we worship all these things. And I think it's men more than anything. Like if you look at a Chris Brown, right? It's the men, it's the, like, of course women don't want to let him go, but with any male star, there's a substantial block of men in the industry that are refusing to allow that man to lose any power, because they've gained some of their power through him, tangentially, right? It's connected. People absolutely will not let Chris Brown go, ever. And granted, it's because he's also one of the most prolific artists we've ever seen, and I think that's a strategy, right? It's like Kobe when he was in the middle of his court case and he was dropping 40-point games in sequence. Like it's a strategy, flood the court. If people are looking at you funny for things you did and things you want to avoid, drown them in work. I think that's why he made these long ass albums, right? So I think it's a strategy. Who cares what Eli thinks? I mean, Chris Brown isn't even that tight. He did the cool move where he took his hat off with his elbow in the Kiss Kiss video. Did we not hear him rap in Look at Me Now? That's one way to look at it. His raps are here and there, but he's most famous for singing. And I'm not going to speculate on what people feel, however you want to feel about his talent. I think that's immaterial to the conversation. I think it's actually important for us to acknowledge that he does have talent, because I don't think it's important for us to praise people who have been predators, but I think focusing on others' objective truths and seeing the way other people see these people is important. So if we walk into a conversation about a Chris Brown, about an R. Kelly, about an Usher, Usher's not in the same category as Chris Brown or R. Kelly, but just people who have done bad things, right? Or made a social faux pas, or made light of victims in Usher's cases, things like that. If we walk into the conversation like, oh, he didn't have no talent anyway, you're distracting from the point, right? And Eli, I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but it's getting close to what you could be doing if we follow this train of logic, right? I think it's important for us to focus on what matters in these conversations. And I think when we talk about abusers, we can't go in like, oh, he wasn't even that good anyway. It's actually besides the point. I focused on the song LaRussell made for a reason, because just analyzing how people work socially. If songs are good, you can get away with a lot. Rick Ross got away with mentioning date rape because people like the song, right? This is a trend, a pattern in our culture. And so we have to identify that even though somebody is very talented at what they do, they still need to be canceled. I think it's important for us to acknowledge the talent, because that's the problem. We refuse to cancel people because they're talented. So we can't be like, they're not talented, therefore they need to get out of here. No, even the most talented people need to get the fuck out of here if they're taking advantage of people. Yeah. If your song slaps, you can get away with a lot. Yeah. Write that down. Nah, that's no, but for real, that's it's just a pattern. I keep seeing it happen like time and time again. Take a couple more. I'm enjoying this. I'm having a good time. I hope y'all are having a good time too. Paul E. Thurtle, Paul YT Hurdle, Paul YouTube Hurdle. One of those is right. I worked at a hotel near a CB show, and the sheer number of black women who showed up was notable. I mean, yeah, he's a superstar. Like, we have to be realistic in these conversations, right? These are superstars. I don't think it does us any benefit of not acknowledging that and realizing what comes with superstardom. There's nothing you can do once you've become a superstar to unsuperstar yourself. It doesn't work like that. Fame is a very fragmented and global thing. Because nobody gets all the same information ever. So like, no matter what you did, there's people in the world that don't even know what happened between Drake and Kendrick. Like, y'all know what I'm trying to say? Like, there's people who, because Drake is more famous than Kendrick, so the people who have never even heard of Kendrick, the people who have never heard of the beef, all they know is God's plan, and they're in some foreign country playing God's plan on a loop because maybe it just got to their radio. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's what fame is. Even in America, it doesn't even need to be a foreign country. Even in America, it can be that fragmented. Once you're famous on that scale, you will forever be famous. And some people will understand that maybe you're a bad person, but most of them won't know, and some of them won't care. That's just human nature. That's what it is. That's what fame is. And the more we understand that, the more we can then choose how we interact with them and how we deal with them and how we discuss them. Because it's unrealistic for me to get up here and think one YouTube video is going to do anything. They're not going to give a fuck about what I have to say. But for the people who do, hopefully I can get the message across that we have to stop, for this small audience, putting those kind of people on a pedestal. Like, to me, that's the important takeaway. But I'm just a guy on the internet, bro. Cochineal again. I actually think some women like Chris Brown more after the abuse. Our community has no guardrails, and because of COINTELPRO, do not trust our ability to cancel a black figure. COINTELPRO was the secret government entity funded by Hoover, created by Hoover to investigate the black radicals. And I think you have a point about the abuse, honestly. I think there's a doubling down that I've seen with the fandom of these black artists, these black celebrities. And again, that's just black capitalism, right? With the whole black excellence industrial complex is all built on, like, we can't lose even one of these stars. Otherwise, what are we? Like, when we effectively got Trey Songz out of here, right? But he's already tiptoeing into a comeback. I saw like a new record or something that he dropped. Like I mentioned, when a certain level of fame, people refuse to cancel you. They didn't cancel Louis C.K. Like, he went to that Dubai festival with all the rest of those comedians, and he's going to be making his comeback whenever he feels like it, probably. People don't get canceled for real. It's a rarity that it actually has a tangible impact on their career. And it's just a matter of time. There's like a playbook on how to come back from being canceled now that is pretty much foolproof. So I don't think it's, I think you're right that people double down. They get more resolute. I can't tell you how long it took to convince certain people in my family that they can't fuck with R. Kelly anymore. Like, for a while, I was fighting that battle. You know what I'm saying? I don't fight those battles anymore as much. I just rather just, make a video about it, I guess. But it took a lot of, no. R. Kelly's fucked up. Like, y'all have to believe me. Like, here's why. It took a lot of that to convince some people to kind of leave him behind. Because I don't think non-black people, you won't understand. I'm not saying that like you know less about music. I'm saying that you just won't understand how big of a deal R. Kelly is in the black community, in our culture. He's easily the most influential R&B writer / singer of all time. Like, period. There is no competition, really. He's written for more people and created more hits for himself as a combined entity than any other artist in R&B history. And so losing him was like losing Cosby for that generation, right? And the thing is, to my point earlier, a lot of them haven't lost him. A lot of them are still playing him at cookouts and parties, but they're doing it out of defiance because they know that he did some fucked up shit. They know that it's wrong. They know that he was abusing people. They even blame the women for getting involved with him in the first place. They know, and they choose to engage anyway. And that's the culture we create around celebrities. We put them on pedestals to where they can't be knocked down even when they very, very much deserve to be. And it sucks. That shit sucks. Catmore 9. Yep, I'm one of them. Didn't know Chris Brown abused other women until today. Yeah, multiple. Stalking, abuse, harassment, serial abuser. And I was one of the people who was willing to like, okay, what he did is unforgivable. He was a teenager though. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've never hit a woman, and I do not condone it. But in my early 20s or whatever, when that happened, when it was before that, but like when I had to grapple with it of like, do I take his music off my playlist? Do I support Chris Brown? Has he improved? Has he gotten past that? Has he matured as a person? I was kind of in that camp of like, okay, maybe he's matured. I think it was in that like, don't judge me period where he was intentionally trying to get the world's forgiveness. And I was like, maybe I should like lay off this guy. But then it took one article. There's an article I read about like the timeline of all the women he harassed, and it was laying it out, and all the separate women, but also the separate incidents. And it wasn't even just the women he harassed; it was the other outlash, like the men that he lashed out at, the destruction of that window at the studio or whatever, in that morning show that he went on. Like, this is a unstable, violent dude, and he's dangerous. And I think supporting somebody like that when he's still openly misogynistic in his lyrics at his big age, like he's damn near 40 now, if not 40. I don't know. I forgot how much older than me he is. I'm pretty sure he's not 40 yet. He's late 30s. That's not something I can be a part of anymore. And I think if you talk to a lot of people face to face about this, they would agree that, oh, yeah, you're right. They would make a lot of excuses, though, because letting go of somebody that was such a formative part of their childhood and their teenage years, it's painful. Like, it's physically painful for them. Try to get into the psychology of people who used to have posters on their wall. I've never done that, but these female fans did. Like, they had posters on the wall. The women that supported him, it was part of their identity, right? It was part of their identity, having posters of him on the wall. And yeah, they've been comparing him to MJ, which, hey, I don't hold MJ in this godlike slot either, right? You know, he shouldn't have been hanging out with kids. That's really the bottom line of it. So, innocent or not, dude has some problems to work out, and I can't co-sign that behavior. So, like, MJ is my #1 favorite artist, but I have to be honest about these things. And going back to Usher, LaRussell, like, you could be a fan of people while acknowledging that no, like, I can't continue to support somebody who holds these stances, who refuses to apologize, who refuses to acknowledge the harm they've done, and refuses to back down. Like, that's unacceptable, and we have to be very clear about that. Yeah, no more half measures, 100%. Swimming in Shadow, 2552. Cam, you always leave me with so much to think about. I appreciate you. No, I appreciate you. I appreciate every single one of y'all for being here. I can't continue to do any of this without y'all. I'm in a good place. You know what I'm saying? I told y'all I just moved. I'm happy with where I am. It's like the beginning of a new chapter for me. I'm taking it one day at a time. I'm working on community. I want to do more in-person stuff because my life is a little too digital right now. But I'm also starting to move into some investigations that y'all suggested. I had many people email me about MLMs, about scammers, about dubious investment schemes in their community, and they want me to look into it. And I'm going to be making videos about some of those topics. Y'all literally keep me going, both emotionally, spiritually, financially. Y'all support me directly in so many ways. And I literally can't thank you enough. EVDV 2011. To be clear, I'm not shaming you for disagreeing with me. Disagree with me all you want. I'm trying to be polite in my disagreement, but I will, stand my ground. I was just watching the chat. Thank y'all for being here, for supporting me. Thank you for the congratulations on my move and my place. I see those as well. And yeah, man, I'll be back. I try to make all these streams something that resonates and makes sense and seems important, and it's not like idle gossip. I don't like talking about bullshit for no reason. Hopefully this moved the needle for you, made you think about something, and hopefully the conversation was stimulating. Much love. I'll let y'all know when the real life stuff is happening. I'm going to be developing more of that this year. I got merch coming at some point. I got new music that'll drop at some point. Like, I'm working on a lot of stuff. But for now, I want to get back to making good videos. So keep in touch, and catch y'all next time. Holla.